All right, get out your pen and paper, because if you've been dreaming of van life, RV life, traveling full-time in a car, trailer, or motorhome, then today I'm about to go through the entire list of everything you should be purchasing, thinking about, and preparing yourself for if you really want to live a nomad travel lifestyle. My name is Eric, and I lived full-time in a teardrop trailer for a whole year while I traveled around the entire United States all by myself. I traveled through 39 states, 41 national parks, and drove over 34,000 miles in just 1 year. And while I'm no expert, I did learn quite a bit while I was out there, and that's what I want to share with you today. Because while social media makes it look like all you have to do is go out there and buy a van, the reality is you have a lot of things you have to think about before you go out there and become a full-time nomad. Like, do you even know what essential items to bring? I am definitely bringing this fish mask. How are you gonna cook your meals? Ooh, waffles. How are you gonna do laundry? How are you gonna shower? Where are you gonna sleep every night? Do you know how to find clean drinking water? Brown. Do you own a paper map? Huh, there's a New Mexico. Do you know how to protect yourself from wild animals? Back, back, back I say, back. Where are you gonna poop? Are you prepared for possible car repairs that can leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere? And then there's the big question. Why do you want to travel for an extended period of time? I mean, what's gonna be your real goal for living in a van, trailer, or RV? Are you just trying to save money on rent? Are you trying to see all 50 states? Do you want to visit all the national parks? Are you sick of me asking a lot of questions? Well, before I traveled for an entire year in a teardrop trailer, I asked myself some of those same questions, and I didn't ask myself enough of the others. So I had to learn the hard way a lot. And that's why I really want to make this video. So that if you're thinking about traveling for at least a year or more, then hopefully this video will answer some of the questions you have and make you consider questions that you maybe didn't think about. Now, the first thing I want to discuss is probably something that most people are not going to talk enough about, and that's mindset. Packing up your entire life, leaving everything you know behind, and living in your car for an entire year is a lot more challenging mentally than it looks. You know, I thought for sure that my first night on the road, I was going to be sleeping at some gorgeous campsite under a star-filled sky, staring up at the Milky Way, and dreaming about finally visiting places like Lake Tahoe, Mount Rushmore, Niagara Falls, and Joshua Tree. But instead, my first night was spent in an abandoned parking lot in the middle of Georgia. You see, my quick story is that I've always wanted to do a solo road trip around the entire United States for a full year. My plan and agenda was to travel from Florida to California to Washington to Maine and then back to Florida. I've always dreamt about doing a giant loop around the United States for a full year while seeing national parks I've only ever seen in pictures and visiting cities I've only ever heard about before. And I thought I was so mentally ready to do this epic road trip that I quit my job, packed up everything I have into storage, left my family and friends behind, and set out on the adventure of a lifetime. But it took me less than 48 hours to realize, oh shit, I'm a 45-year-old man who doesn't have a home, doesn't have health care, doesn't have anyone else around me, and I slept in a parking lot last night. This is not what a 45-year-old should be doing intentionally with their life. So make sure you really know what you're getting yourself into. Have a purpose. For me, my goal was to visit areas and states that I've only ever heard about before but have never seen. I wanted to see snow-capped mountains and endless deserts. I wanted to see Mars-like terrain in the west and American history in the east. So even though I had a mini freak out on day one, I knew it was something I really wanted to accomplish. I want to do a full year of travel on the road. So plan out your route ahead of time. You'll spend less money on gas and you'll put less miles on your vehicle. It's okay to deviate from that plan and go where the wind takes you and make the most of your experience. But remember, your home is now on wheels. Driving around is just going to cost you money and time. And the more you spend on those two things means you're just going to get depleted of other things, like money and time. All right, let's talk about preparation. There are 3 things I prep for before I hit the road full time. Having good internet coverage, having safety nets in place in case I ever had car problems, and having essential apps downloaded to my phone so I knew how to get fresh water every day and a new place to sleep every night. All right, one of the things I did before I left was I got a second internet connection for my phone, which basically gave me 2 phone lines on one phone. Since I was a solo traveler, I wanted to give myself as much internet coverage and cell phone coverage as I possibly could. I personally used T-Mobile and I had Verizon on one phone, so if say my T-Mobile line wasn't very strong, well at least I still had my Verizon line to fall back on. If you're traveling with somebody, it might not be such a bad idea for you both to have separate internet plans. So let's just say that you're a husband and wife traveling together, and maybe the husband has Verizon on his line, but the wife has AT&T on her line. Let's just say that the Verizon line maybe isn't as strong as the AT&T line. Well, at least one of you would have a working phone and a good internet connection that you can rely on. And nowadays, there is a ton of portable wireless internet devices that'll give you internet in more remote places. Devices like Unlimitedville, Nomad Internet, and Starlink are just a few of the options out there. I made a whole video about how to get 2 phone lines on one phone. If you're really interested in seeing the details on how that works, I'll put the link right here for you. But nothing really beats an old-fashioned paper map. It's super reliable and it doesn't require batteries. Now, it wasn't just internet backup plans I had prepared. I also had backup plans prepared for my car. I keep a paper map in the car in case I don't have any internet coverage whatsoever. I have a can of Fix-It-Flat that I always keep with me just in case. And I have a portable battery jumper, which I actually had to use in Idaho when my battery died and I had no one else around me to jump me. I'd strongly recommend having roadside assistance with your car insurance plan or AAA or something. And if you can get an extended warranty for your car, that's not a bad idea. Just like a home, things break. And when your car is your home, you want to try to alleviate those problems as quickly as possible. Giving yourself something as simple as this portable battery jumper can really save you from a big emergency. Now, the apps I used every day to find clean drinking water and places to stay every night were iOverlander, Campendium, and freecampsites.net. However, you could also check out Harvest Host and recreation.gov. If you're in a small setup like a van, car, truck, or a small trailer, then I would say iOverlander is probably your best app to use. It's completely free to use, and when you're doing a search for places to stay for the night, you can search for established campgrounds, wild camping, or informal campsites. That would be things like street parking in a city somewhere. You can even use the app to find places that offer Wi-Fi, if you're looking for a laundromat, if you need a place to refill your water, or if you're looking to refill your propane. The app is completely community-based, so the more that people upload to it, the better it is. Campendium is another great option. It's a little bit more aimed at established campgrounds and RV parks, but you can search for places that are completely free to places that cost money. If you have a bigger rig with gray tanks or black tanks, then Campendium is another great option to search for places that offer dump stations. Like iOverlander, Campendium really relies on the user community to upload information about each campsite. So you can say how good the road conditions were to get there and what the grounds were like once you were there. You can even list how good the cell phone reception was in that area. Here's a pro tip with Campendium. Dump stations usually have a clean drinking water source. So even if you don't have a black tank or a gray tank to empty, you can usually search for dump stations there in Campendium and then go to that source to find fresh drinking water. I used to do it all the time, it's usually free, and it was really easy to refill my 5-gallon water jugs. Harvest Host is a lot like Airbnb for RVs. Instead of staying at some crowded RV park, Harvest Host usually allows you to stay in the parking lot of maybe a local winery or a brewery or a restaurant or a local business owner. The owner allows you to sleep there overnight, it's completely safe, and you have a place to get breakfast or dinner or some drinks with the locals. Recreation.gov is necessary if you're looking to stay at the campground inside of a national park. Most national parks are going to require a reservation for their campgrounds, so don't just show up there expecting you're going to get a campsite on the day of. Parks like Zion, Yosemite, and Grand Canyon fill up fast. Another great app to download for the road is Here We Go. Here We Go is a mapping app that allows you to download an entire state for offline use. So if you do happen to be in a place with no internet and you need directions, then Here We Go will have a reliable GPS that can still get you around. All right, now there's actually a lot more options than you think to staying clean on the road. Most people are gonna have a gym membership. I use Planet Fitness. It was $25 for the month and it had the most amount of locations nationwide compared to any other gym. Even if you join a gym just for the showers, take advantage of the other perks. Free Wi-Fi, indoor heat, and of course, the gym itself. If you're in a really small travel setup like I was and the weather gets really bad and you can't do much outside, I can't tell you how much the gym really helped me by getting in there and just getting some good old-fashioned exercise. It really brought me out of my funk when I was feeling low because of the bad weather outside and I couldn't do much. Plus, if you're in a really cold climate and you're looking for a place to get some good heat, then hey, indoor heat, and free Wi-Fi. However, gyms are not the only way to stay clean on the road. I use this road shower here a lot. I'll put a link right there on just exactly how I use it on the road. And truck stops are another option where you can get showers on the road. However, they're usually about $15 each time. So the gym membership at $25 was a much better option for me. If you end up staying at established campgrounds, then a lot of them will have showers for you. Local YMCAs are an option. Community center pools usually have a shower you can use. And if you're lucky enough to have a travel rig with a shower inside of it, then I guess this entire section doesn't apply to you. Some honorable mentions here: the Geyser portable shower system, these propane portable showers, and wet wipes. You'll use wet wipes a lot more than you think. Now when it comes to wildlife and camping, I personally have never had an issue with bears or moose or anything coming around to my campsite. But I always kept a can of bear spray around just in case. Especially if I was cooking outside and the smell of the food might loft in the bears closer to camp. Always keep a clean campsite. That means all your garbage at night needs to go into your car or a trailer. Don't keep any food outside. Dog food, toothpaste, dry goods, it doesn't matter. Keep everything indoors. I personally never left a single thing outside, not even shoes. But that's mostly because I have an irrational fear of snakes crawling into my shoes.
There's a snake in my boot.
However, it's not always larger animals like bears you have to be careful of. If you end up camping out on some public land or BLM somewhere where you can stay up to 14 days and your car's not moving much, you may find out that later on that you might have some mice or squirrels or rodents have started to make a little bit of nest inside your engine, and they may end up chewing through some of your engine wires, which can cost thousands of dollars to repair. My tip, get to your campsite early. It's easier to navigate those dirt roads when you still have daylight, and if the place is packed with other campers, you can still get to another place and still have plenty of daylight there too. And it's gonna be a lot easier to spot any wildlife if there are any. All right, let's talk about water for a second. It's obviously essential, and you're gonna have to know how to find fresh drinking water. I carried almost 10 gallons of fresh drinking water with me at all times. I had 2 of these 4-gallon jugs, and then I carried one 1-gallon jug just like this. Finding places to fill up fresh water is really not that hard. As I mentioned before, iOverlander is a great tool to find fresh drinking water. And some gas stations will have a potable water station. And if you end up getting a gym membership for the showers, then there's always going to be a water fountain somewhere inside where you can refill. If you're visiting a national park, check out the visitor center. They usually have a water refill station somewhere around the vicinity. Although like gyms, a water refill station inside of a visitor center is usually a little bit more equipped for someone to refill their personal water container like this versus a giant water jug like this. So that's why I really love these 1-gallon water jugs like this. They're only about $1 at the grocery store usually, and they're just so much easier to take into a visitor center or a gym and refill at the little water station there. Also, speaking of visitor centers, when you're in a new city or town, check out the Welcome Center if they have one. They almost always have a water refill station somewhere inside. Now, I personally never had a water filtration system like this, but if you're wild camping next to a lake or a stream, then you have an endless source of fresh water. And it's definitely something I'm gonna look into in the future. All right, here it is. This is by far the biggest question I got asked all the time on the road. How did I do laundry? Laundromats. It's not really a big secret. Now this one kind of falls in line with the same way that showers do. There are a ton of ways out there that you can take care of your business. Hey, get out of here. Of course, restaurants, gas stations, hotel lobbies, most established campgrounds, pit toilets at a trailhead, and even public parks with public restrooms are all good options. But if you end up doing more wild camping like I did, then there are 2 other methods that I end up using. I either dug a hole or I used my portable cassette toilet. A portable cassette toilet is the closest thing to a real toilet without plumbing. The one I used was easy to empty, it didn't smell, and you could keep waste in there a lot longer than a bucket and bag system, which you probably don't want to keep in your car for a very long time. For me, I didn't stay at very many campgrounds that had a bathroom nearby, so I usually did a lot more wild camping. Now, whenever I had other campers nearby, I would take that portable cassette toilet, and it was small enough that I could take it into my teardrop and I could use it that way without having to go outside and dig a hole. And it kept smells so minimal that I was actually able to keep things in there for a few days before finally just emptying it at, say, a bathroom at a gas station or a pit toilet at a trailhead. All right, I'm not gonna go into what I actually cooked on the road. If you're looking to see what kind of meals I actually cooked on the road, then you can check out this video here where I talk a little bit about my teardrop setup in the galley area where I cooked and some of the meals I cooked on the road. but mostly I want to go over some of the options you have for keeping your food fresh on the road. There's basically 2 ways to keep food cold on the road. An ice chest is going to be your cheapest option, by far. This IMX cooler by Igloo is an awesome cooler. It's half the cost of a Yeti and it keeps ice for nearly 4 days. It's the only way I kept food cold on the road, and if you're looking to see how I use it in an ice retention test, then I'll put a video right here. But ice melts and it gets all in your food. I couldn't keep things like cheese or lunch meat or yogurt because all that ice would melt and then it would combine with all the foods in the cooler and it would turn into this really disgusting water and it would get on everything. Plus the ice in the cooler is gonna take up half of the cooler already, so you can't put as much food in there as you really think you're gonna be able to get. And then every 3 to 4 days, you're just gonna have to go find another bag of ice. It's really annoying. So if there's one thing I really wish I would have upgraded to, instead of getting an ice chest, I really wish I would have just bought an electric cooler. They're considerably more money, but you won't have the problem of all that gross, dirty water melting and getting all over your food, and you won't have to find ice every single day. Instead, you'll have a full refrigerator at your disposal, and a lot of them are dual zone, so you can have a refrigerator and a freezer. You can actually keep ice cream on the road. They pull very little power, and you can plug them directly into the 12 volt in your car to keep them charged, or you can plug them into a portable power station like a Jackery. Speaking of power and power stations, this can go down a really big rabbit hole because there's a ton of options out there. So I'll try to keep it simple and not go too deep. But you're gonna need 3 things to make any portable power station work in your car, RV, or trailer. You need a battery, you need a way to charge that battery, and you need a way to get all the power from that battery to your devices. AKA, you're gonna need an inverter. For me, I had a 100 amp hour battery, I had a 100 watt solar panel to charge that battery, and I had a 500 watt inverter that I could plug all my electronics into. Now, obviously this can take a lot of know-how on knowing what kind of battery you need for your setup, how much solar power you need to charge that battery, and what size inverter you need for all your electronics. And that is a whole nother video in itself. So for the sake of keeping this video kind of simple, I'm gonna recommend you look at one of the all-in-one power systems that have all 3 of those things in them. You can check out things like the Jackery, the Gold Zero, EcoFlow, or Blue Yeti. These are portable power stations that make it incredibly simple to deliver all-day battery life to all your electronics. They have USB-A ports, USB-C ports, AC connections, and even 12 volts. The digital screen on these things makes it incredibly simple to understand how much power is going into the unit and how much power is going out. And it'll even tell you how many hours you have left on the battery. They're usually lithium-ion batteries, and you can recharge them via solar panels, or you can plug them directly into your car and let your car charge them while you're driving, or you can even take it indoors somewhere and plug it into the wall. So let's say you go to Panera Bread to grab some lunch and some free Wi-Fi. Well, bring your portable power station and plug it into the wall there and recharge your power. The one that I am personally looking at next is the Blue Yeti. They have more life cycles than the competitors, so they'll last longer. They have wireless charging mats on top, and I like the design because it actually fits behind my seat a little bit better than some of the others. Plus, they're usually a little bit cheaper than all the other options out there. All right, obviously I could keep going on and on and on and on about what you need to purchase, what you need to plan for, and things you need to get before you get on the road for a year or more, but no one wants to sit through a 3 or 4 hour video. So I'll just end it here. Topics like debating van versus RV or what kind of job to work on the road, those are videos all themselves. But if there's one thing I can really leave you with, it's that a full-time travel lifestyle requires a lot of patience. This is not the lifestyle for you if you're someone who can't give up routines very easily. Every day is going to be completely different from the last, and you have to be very comfortable when things change. Bad weather, finding a new place to sleep every night, and how many days you can go without a shower are all examples of daily challenges. Traveling full-time has its pros and its cons, and you have to be able to go with the flow and accept adversity as just daily acceptances. I personally love the freedom that the open road gave me, and I much prefer it than living in a big city in an apartment or a home, but everybody's different. If you're interested in some of the gear that I used on the road for an entire year, then you can check out my Amazon storefront where I have each item divided into individual categories. These items cost the exact same cost to you, but it does give me a little commission, so it allows me to make more helpful videos like this. And if you found this video helpful and you're feeling generous, then I accept donations. If you like, you can leave me a super thanks, and I'll use that money to make more helpful videos like this in the future. Thanks for escaping normal life with me.